since the pandemic began in March of 2020, 4 in 10 adults have reported symptoms of anxiety and depression. That's up from 1 in 10 before the pandemic. There's been a significant increase in difficulty sleeping, overeating, and alcohol consumption due to worry and stress. In young adults, depression and anxiety is up 56%, substance use 26%, and suicidal thoughts 25%. Now let's talk about the kids. 31% of parents say their child's emotional and mental health was worse than before the pandemic due to isolation and loneliness. 49%, over almost half of households with children, reported a loss of income. Child abuse has been on the rise. All of these alarming facts from the Kaiser Family Foundation are consistent with what we are seeing at Heartstrings. History has shown that mental health impact disasters outweigh the physical impact, and we currently have an elevated need that goes way beyond the pandemic. That's why your vote tonight will allow us to supply 143 counseling sessions to those who can't afford it. I'll bet that every single one of you in here has either struggled with mental health or knows someone who has in the last couple years. It's a critical time to get people back to a better state of mental health. We have 13 highly trained therapists in their last year of their master's program getting their counseling psychology degree, gaining their 3,000 hours to become licensed. In just the last year, we've helped a mother go through a difficult grieving process when she reached out to us after her teen overdosed and died. A child that was in the middle of a very nasty custody battle who needed help with expressing their emotions in a healthy way. The adult who was trapped in a domestic violence relationship for 6 years. She was physically abused, financially and socially isolated, and we helped to empower her so that she's no longer a victim of her circumstances. The senior with ALS from our Placer County ALS Association, who had only weeks to live. We helped them and their surviving spouses to process and prepare for the end of life. The first responder who witnessed their coworker after completing suicide with a single shot to the head. We help by giving that responder a safe space to process and heal from PTSD. And may we never forget the survivors of our fires here in Northern California, the ones who had to evacuate, the ones who lost literally everything, including their entire community. When there's a crisis or disaster, we always step up. We've given over 4,000 sessions to survivors. We also have an RV that was donated to us in the last year. And with our crisis and disaster mobile counseling program, we can now go to sites of disasters if they can't come to us. So if any of these stories pull on your heartstrings, including Jamie's, one of our survivors, who will be coming up next, please vote for us or help us in any way you can.
So I'm here to share my experience with Heartstrings. Just over 4 years ago, I had survived California's deadliest wildfire, yet I was not surviving. I was lost in the grief of losing the community that I was born and raised in, the life that my family had built, and everything that I had ever owned. I found myself here in Placer County and walking through the doors of Heartstrings. It was during that first group session that Darla passed around a tray of rocks, inviting us to take the one that we needed. I picked the smallest rock that said, "I can," because at the moment, I couldn't. I needed this rock to get me through the days so that I could be there to support my children and my family. Heartstrings was there in the days, the weeks, and the months that followed, and they continue to be there. They support those that are lost, broken, and have lost hope. And supporting them today will mean that they can continue to provide resources for those in our community that need help, and they will welcome them with open arms, and they will mend their hearts one string at a time.